This is the Coleman WeatherMaster 10-person tent, and in this video, we'll be testing its ease of setup, ease of takedown, spaciousness, comfort, ventilation, and more. I bought this WeatherMaster 10-person tent from Amazon and got the tent body, the rain fly, a room divider, stakes in a carry bag, fiberglass poles for the angled windows and hinged D-door, and steel poles for the main tent body. The guidelines are all pre-attached. I put affiliate links below if you want to check it out. For ease of use, I looked at how easily I could put up as well as take down and pack up this WeatherMaster 10-person tent. I did this on my own, so one person, and also I tested this with two people as well. To set up this WeatherMaster 10-person tent, first lay the tent on the ground and assemble all the steel poles. Next, insert the 3 slightly curved steel poles into these 3 pole sleeves here. Then attach the 6 straight steel poles to the 3 slightly curved steel poles and your tent should look like this. After, stand all the poles up like this and then insert the bottom of each pole into this Coleman pin at the base of the tent. Next, assemble all the fiberglass poles. The 2 shortest fiberglass poles are for the hinged D-door, like so. The other 2 fiberglass poles are for the angled windows at the left width and the right width of the WeatherMaster tent. Then attach all the pole clips to the nearest steel pole. After, grab the rain fly, drape it over the tent, and then attach the S-hooks of the rain fly to the nearest steel pole. There are also Velcro attachments to secure under the rain fly. Finally, stake out the tent. There are 10 steel stakes for the base of the tent and 6 of these yellow stakes for the 6 guidelines around the tent. It'll take about 10 minutes for 2 people to set up this WeatherMaster 10-person tent. When I put the tent up on my own, it took me about 19 minutes. I'm only about 5'3" and I was able to set up the entire tent, including the rain fly and the hinged door on my own, with no issues at all. Taking down the Coleman WeatherMaster 10-person tent and then packing it up takes about 8.5 minutes for 2 people and about 16 minutes on my own, excluding washing and drying of course. If you want more detailed instructions on how to set up, take down, and pack up this WeatherMaster tent, you can check out this video on my channel. For spaciousness, I looked at the peak height, slope of the walls, and base area. This WeatherMaster 10-person tent has a peak height of 80.5 inches and I can reach the top of the tent if I stretch my arm out and stand on tiptoes at the same time. The side walls of this WeatherMaster tent are not really that vertical, especially at this small triangular space here, and here's what it looks like from the inside. But excluding this space, the lowest height in the tent, which is about here at the 4 corners of the tent, is about 58 inches. I'm 5'3", so I could not stand upright at this corner, but I could stand up just by taking a small step to the side. And also, I could stand up everywhere else in this tent. The longest length of this WeatherMaster 10-person tent is about 16 feet and 8 inches, while the longest width is about 9 feet and 1 inch. But just bear in mind that the base area of this WeatherMaster tent isn't like a nice rectangular shape. So that's why the maximum number of queen-sized camping mattresses I could fit into this WeatherMaster 10-person tent was only 3. Here's what the tent looks like with those 3 mattresses. The mattresses that I used in this tent are slightly smaller than queen size, so I'll put the dimensions of each mattress in this video for a better reference. Apart from these 3 mattresses, there's quite a bit of space left over for camping gear. Instead of 3 queen-sized mattresses, you can also fit 10 single sleeping pads or sleeping bags, and here's what having 10 pads in this 10-person tent looks like. To accommodate 10 people in this tent, it's almost shoulder-to-shoulder sleeping, although there's some space right here for a little bit of camping gear. One more thing, there's no vestibule, so if you leave your shoes out, it will get wet if it rains. For comfort and features, I looked at the windows, doors, bug nets, and more. This Coleman WeatherMaster 10-person tent has 6 windows around the entire tent if you include the window mesh of the 2 doors that you see here and here. The windows on the length of the tent are a bit smaller, each measuring about 30 inches in length by 28.5 inches in width. The angled windows on each width of the tent measures about 60 inches in length by 17.5 inches in width. Each window has 2 zippers, which are pretty much snag-free. If there's no rain, you can unzip the windows for more ventilation, and there's a bug net to prevent larger bugs from getting in. The holes are quite large, so I don't think this is no-seam mesh. You can use this small latch to tie the fabric of the windows up so that it looks neater. This WeatherMaster 10-person tent has two doors, one at each length of the tent. The front door on the front length of this tent is this hinged D-door. It has a handle on both the outside and the inside. The D-door measures about 47 by 30 inches in dimensions and is about 59 inches from the ground to the top of the door, so I did have to duck a little when going through the door in and out of the tent. Oh, and here's what the D-door looks like when I stand in front of it. The back door on the back length of the WeatherMaster tent doesn't come with any fiberglass poles, so it's not hinged and you do have to zip it open and close. It measures about 57 by 34 inches in dimensions and is about 65 inches from the floor to the top of the door, so if you're taller than me, you definitely have to duck a little when going through the door. The size of this door is about twice my size, and here's what it looks like when I stand in front of it. Both doors have bug nets spanning about half the length of each door. Each door has two zippers for the bug net and two for the door itself. If there are no bugs, you can increase ventilation by unzipping the back door, rolling it up, and clipping it to the side right here like this. There are two of these clips or latches for keeping the door open. The hinged D door doesn't stay open, but you can zip it up even with the fiberglass poles in place. If you don't want to zip it up, these Velcro attachments here will keep the door closed. This WeatherMaster 10-person tent comes with this room divider, so you can split the tent into two rooms. The divider comes with these attachments that you can easily secure to these loops at the sides of the tent. Each room can then fit either 5 sleeping pads or sleeping bags or one queen-sized bed plus an additional sleeping pad. One room on the left side of the tent will have one regular window, one angled window, and a back door. The other room on the right side of the tent will have one regular window, one angled window, and a hinged D-door. The divider has a zip in the middle so that you can access either room, and you can also pull back the sides of the divider and clip it to the sides right here like this for easier access. You can also fit just one queen-size bed plus one sleeping pad in one room and use the other as a living room or something like that. What I did not quite like about this divider is that there are some pretty big gaps at both sides of the divider, at the top of the divider, and there's also a gap at the bottom of the divider. There are 4 pockets in the entire tent, 2 on the right of the tent and 2 on the left of the tent. All the pockets are the same, measuring about 20 by 10 inches in this triangular shape. There's one lantern loop in the tent at the very top of the tent, right in the center for some lighting at night. Also, there's one E-port at the bottom of the tent with a zippered closure. For ventilation, this WeatherMaster 10-person tent has a lot of mesh on the roof of the tent. The rainfly is removable from the outside and you can stargaze when it's not raining. I really enjoy lying down in the tent and watching it turn dark during sunset. Apart from the roof though, the 2 doors and 4 windows are not exactly that big. But 2 of the windows are these angled windows, so I was able to leave them open even in the rain. And not just light rain, but moderate rain as well. There are no vents in this WeatherMaster tent, so it was good to have some ventilation through the angled windows and also from the gap between the rainfly and the ceiling mesh. If there's lots of wind though and rain gets through the angled windows, you can zip them closed. The other non-angled windows and doors have to be closed though, because otherwise some water will get on the mesh of the windows and doors, especially when there's wind because the rainfly is quite small. For weather resistance, I looked at rain and wind protection. It did not rain while I was using this WeatherMaster 10-person tent, so I had to make do with this water hose, and it looked like this. This is about moderate to heavy rainfall, I think. I did this for an hour and concentrated the rainfall on the front length of the tent. After about 15 minutes of moderate to heavy rain on the front of the tent, I noticed that water started leaking into the tent through this seam connecting the dark brown fabric of the tent body to the bathtub flooring, because this inverted seam has not been seam taped. When the 1-hour rain test was up, most of the tent body was still dry. However, the darker brown fabric was slightly damp after being exposed to an hour of this moderate to heavy rain. In 1 hour of light rainfall though, the darker brown fabric was still dry. For more info on this, you can check out the full rain test video on my channel. This Coleman WeatherMaster 10-person tent has a more aerodynamic shape than cabin tents, but even so, it has a high peak height of 80.5 inches with pretty vertical walls on the front and back length of the tent. Also, there are only 6 guy lines in total for such a large tent. I noticed that it was able to stand up to light winds, as you can see here, but I'm not so sure about moderate to stronger winds. For quality, I looked at the flooring, the main tent, stitching, and more. The flooring of this WeatherMaster 10-person tent is made of polyethylene, and the bathtub flooring extends up to about 7.5 inches. After 1 hour of moderate to heavy rain, I noticed that no water seeped through the bathtub flooring and it was still dry, which was great. The main tent body is made of 68D polyester and the rainfly is made of 75D polyester taffeta with 450 mm of water resistance. The parts of the tent protected by the rainfly were dry, but the dark brown fabric of the tent body that was exposed to an hour of moderate to heavy rain was a bit damp. All the seams in this WeatherMaster 10% tent are inverted, and I found the stitching to be pretty good quality and consistent even on the doors and windows with no glaring holes or anything, unlike some of my other tents. Well, except maybe in the corners, but that's protected by the rainfly anyway. The zippers were pretty good quality and I had no leaking issues through the zips or zippers on the windows and doors. The windows were pretty much snag free and so were the doors from the inside, but the back door will still occasionally snag from the outside because of this rain cover, so I recommend holding the rain cover while zipping the door open or closed from the outside. The holes of the mesh are too big to be no-seam, but there were no holes or excess mesh in this tent at all, so I had no issues at all. So after 2 over years of having this WeatherMaster 10% tent, I noticed that some of the steel poles, the ones with this silver button here, became a bit stiff to put together. But I really like how sturdy it feels after it's been put together. Also, the fiberglass pole for the curved part of the hinged D-door is quite thin, and because you need to bend it quite a bit, mine cracked after a while. But I just quickly taped it back together using duct tape and it still works fine. Also, the tip of the fiberglass pole came out and got stuck in the rubber gasket, but it still works fine. I had no issues with the guy lines, though it would be nice if they were reflective at night. But I do really like the guy lines of the angled windows here, which keep it sturdy. This WeatherMaster 10% tent has a packed size of 31 by 18 by 12 inches. For a size comparison, here's what it looks like beside a Coleman 2% Sundome tent. As well as a 32-ounce Nalgene bottle. The strap is barely long enough to be used as a shoulder strap for me, and it weighs about 30.5 pounds for everything. For pros, I found the WeatherMaster 10% tent to be good quality and durable. All the seams are inverted with consistent stitching, the zippers are nice and smooth, and I've used this tent over the past 3 years with hardly any issues at all. Well, I broke my fiberglass pole, but fixed it quickly with some duct tape. The next pro is that this WeatherMaster tent has lots of great features, like this super user-friendly hinged D-door that makes going in and out of the tent a breeze. It also has these huge angled windows that can be kept open in even moderate to heavy rain, so there's some ventilation when it's raining. I also really liked that I was able to set up the entire WeatherMaster 10% tent on my own. Even though I'm not tall, the pole sleeves are pretty snag-free, and it did not take me very long too. And last but not least, even though the WeatherMaster tent is feature-packed and good quality, I found it pretty inexpensive and it offers great value for money. If you found this helpful so far, please help me hit that like button. Thank you, and I really appreciate it. As for cons, I wish they made the non-angled windows a bit bigger for more ventilation during hot days. Right now, they're not that small, but they're far from big. Also, I wish they taped this seam instead of making it inverted, because in my experience, inverted seams don't really work that well, especially against heavy rain. Some smaller cons is that the room divider has pretty big gaps at the sides, and Coleman should also have made the carry bag a bit bigger because now it's a pretty tight fit to get everything back in. But overall, I felt that the pros greatly outweighed the cons, and actually if you just seal this seam yourself, there are hardly any cons at all. This WeatherMaster 10% tent has worked really well for me over the past 3 years, and I got insane value for money out of it for sure. How does this WeatherMaster 10% tent compare to other similar tents though? Well, don't worry because I've already done the comparison for you in these videos. I'll put them up when they're ready, so do check those out. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.